Welcome back to the Oasis Focus on Finance show. We are talking about the benefits of offshore investments, and in studio with us are Hassan Matala and Michael Swingler, who are Oasis investment analysts. Hassan, let's start off with you in this part of the show, talking about the fact that we are investing offshore. What other options are there available? I mean, other than just the ones that we've discussed?
Sure. I think when you're looking at offshore investments, obviously it's important to look at the various ways we can get exposure. So firstly, being in South Africa, you've got your balance funds. Now, starting with the balance funds, either through saving for your retirement, or in fact just saving normal savings as you're saving for your families and the like for the longer term. Balance funds actually provide you with a fantastic exposure to get offshore exposure as well. Because if you think about it, your balance funds are Regulation 28 compliant, so they are allowed to take up to 25% exposure from an offshore perspective. So within the balance fund, so be it your retirement savings or be it in terms of your saving, as I said, saving in general, you're getting that 25% offshore, but you're not taking the money directly offshore. So you are actually placing rands into a balance fund, and the balance fund, obviously the investment manager, based on his expertise, will invest the money appropriately offshore. Now, within the offshore exposure within the balance fund, also an important aspect, you are getting exposure to the different asset classes. So for example, within the balance funds itself, firstly, balance funds in general, you'll find exposure to equity, property, and income. That will also be the similar case that within that offshore component in your balance funds, you are also getting exposure to equity, property, and income offshore. And very importantly as well, you're not utilizing, we highlighted earlier that you talked about foreign allowances. You are not utilizing your foreign allowances when investing in your balance funds. So here you're investing in from a rand perspective, but you're getting offshore exposure from a balance fund.
Michael, take us through some more of the mechanics that Hassan has just discussed in terms of offshore investment.
Sure. In terms of the rand-based balance funds, in addition to that, you can also get exposure to global equity and global property without using your offshore investment allowance. And that is done through what we call feeder funds. So again, these are rand-based funds with the Oasis management company. You purchase those funds in rands, and then those funds are invested with our global partners' mutual funds or unit trusts. Those mutual funds or unit trusts satisfy the stringent regulatory requirements of the European Union, and then in addition, those funds are also registered with the South African Financial Services Board. So again, a simple, easy way to get exposure to global property or global equity through our feeder funds.
Just a quick follow on Michael. You're talking, and Hassan as well, about investing in rand terms. Does it mean if I invest offshore, I'm physically investing rands? I don't have to go and buy dollars or euros and go through that whole foreign exchange process?
Exactly. So the Oasis Crescent Balance range of funds, the purchases of that dollars and pounds, etc., to buy the offshore investment would be done by the investment manager. And then the same for the feeder funds into the global equity and property funds. That currency would be purchased by the investment manager. So from an investor's perspective, it would be the same as investing in any other unit trust fund in South Africa.
Now, Hassan, you've started to talk about the funds as Michael has. Let's get into the specifics. I mean, I want to invest offshore. I come to you guys. How exactly do I do it, and what do I actually invest in?
Sure. Say, for example, now you've got, somebody that wants to, we highlighted earlier, if somebody wants to take money offshore, they'll have to obviously go through the process in terms of your clearance, your SARS clearance and the like. But assuming now, for example, you've already got your money offshore. So it is sitting in a bank account, be it in the UK, wherever it may be offshore. The process is very simple. Firstly, we've got our global partner has a range of balanced funds, has a range of global products, which includes your balanced funds, equity, property and income. So we've got a very comprehensive range of products from an offshore perspective to cater to the needs of the client that wants to invest in that. Very importantly though, it's a very simple process. Because your money is already taken offshore, you don't have to go through the process in terms of getting the clearance. So it'll be as you would do normally in terms of filling out your forms, getting your the FICA requirements and the like. You'll have a similar process where you'll have to complete, from a global perspective, completing all the necessary documentation, getting the IDs and the like, getting that sorted out. Now, very importantly, is understanding what is your objectives and looking at your focus longer term in terms of investing. Now, as I said, we've got a comprehensive range of products. And as we focus in South Africa, where we're encouraging clients around balanced funds, our global balanced funds provide a phenomenal opportunity for long-term wealth creation. Very importantly, from a global perspective, they're investing in equity, property and income across the various markets in the world. So they're giving you that stability, they're giving you that downside protection during tough times, but very importantly, contributing towards real wealth creation, delivering against inflation in hard currency over the long term. And you'll see that, you can have a look at we've got the high, medium and low equity balance fund. And also from a UK perspective, a pound-based fund, which is the UK variable equity balance fund as well. So you've got those balance funds that cater towards that. Now, why I stress this point is this here. Many people, you've got your money sitting in accounts offshore. If you look at what the income rates and the yields being offered there, it's very low, very minimal that you're getting on that. Over time, inflation has been eating away against that. And if you continue to hold it in those savings accounts or current accounts where you're earning virtually nothing, inflation will continue to eat that going forward. That's why very important to placing it into, be it the balance funds or in fact the equity and the property fund, where you'll get in hard currency returns beating inflation over the long term.
Are we also saying that offshore investment is part of a basket when one invests? They say don't put all your eggs into one basket. Does it mean to say that a portion of what I invest should be offshore, but another portion obviously at home as well? How does this all fit in the global picture?
Sure. I think obviously, early on we mentioned about diversification. So it's important. It's obviously offshore is an important component from a diversification perspective. Obviously, we are living here in South Africa, we're earning here, we've got a lot to invest. It's also very important to benefit from opportunities that takes place from a global perspective. Looking at from a currency perspective, a geography, sector perspective. These are all forms of diversification which offshore opportunities present the investors out there. I think one point I want to stress upon is that it's very important to have a balanced portfolio. And that's, be it as a local investor or even a global investor, it's important to have that balance. And offshore gives you that component where you're getting your equity, property and income diversified across the various regions and giving you exposure to those regions as well.
Michael, looking at the Oasis products offshore, how widely embedded is Oasis in the whole global network of investment?
If you look at how we analyze and when we look for opportunities in the portfolios, we analyze on a global basis. So we look at trends globally, and again, referring to Hassan's point on the balanced portfolios, that gives us the opportunity to identify within which asset class, and then putting those asset classes together, how best we can take advantage of the global trends and the opportunities to ensure that we deliver that real wealth creation for our clients.
Hassan, very briefly, how important is it right now for South Africans to invest offshore?
I think, Shafiq, if you look at it from a long-term perspective, it's always important to have offshore exposure. And I think, South Africans need to make sure that the eggs are not in one basket, as you highlighted earlier. I think it's important that they have exposure, either through their balance funds, which they're investing locally, but if they've got money offshore as well, important to ensure that they're investing in the right assets so that they're ensure that they protect themselves against inflation over the long term.
Right. And you are watching the Oasis Focus and Finance show. In studio today we have Hassan Matala and Michael Swingler, Oasis investment analysts. We're talking about the benefit of offshore investments. We're going to take a quick break. Don't go away.